Batman's position in the DCU is already complex right now, but a recent design change for one villain has me convinced that one specific Batman story needs to happen on the big screen. Ever since superhero movies have been appearing on the big and small screens, there have been a growing number of iterations of these characters. Now, for some purists, it's frustrating to see two or more takes of a character at the same time, but the comics that inspired these characters have lore that goes incredibly deep, and there are a variety of ways each character can be interpreted and presented. For instance, 3 versions of Spider-Man were introduced between 2002 and 2016, and each has a unique spin. Now, building on that idea, there has been a recent development in the DC Comics that is so singular and spectacular that it demands to have an adaptation in live action, and James Gunn's DCU and DC Elseworlds are the perfect home for this story to be told. While the DCU has put a stop to the majority of movies and TV shows that use the DC branding in order to create one coherent universe, a select few stories have survived this transition, namely Matt Reeves's Batverse. The Batman, starring Robert Pattinson, is currently the only version of the character being portrayed in live action, but James Gunn has made it clear that he is not the version that will appear in the DCU. Instead, the DCU is set to introduce the Dark Knight in the form of a more seasoned hero alongside his son, Damian Wayne, in an upcoming project called The Brave and the Bold. This means that there are clear plans and an intention to keep both these versions of the character going simultaneously, with one in the DCU proper and the other in Elseworlds. And while 2 versions of the character is certainly enough, DC Comics has introduced the most fascinating version of this character, alongside a completely updated rogues gallery in Forever. The DC Absolute Universe of stories sees heroes like Batman reimagined and pitted against somewhat familiar but distinctly different versions of their rivals, as seen with their take on Killer Croc. Already, Bruce Wayne has his story dramatically altered, as he is no longer an orphan or a billionaire. But the way villains like Croc are introduced is even more wild. Waylon Jones, aka Croc, was a longtime friend of Bruce in these comics, and the pair trained in fighting together at Waylon's gym. However, Waylon was abducted and experimented on at Ark-M, Absolute's version of Arkham, which manages to be even more twisted and terrifying. As a test subject, Waylon has been turned into a monster, but the way this character is physically portrayed is something straight out of a horror movie. He is large, grotesque, and features a disturbingly long neck with teeth protruding from the bottom, leading up to the top half of his humanoid head. It's absolutely the most interesting iteration of this character since its inception, and just one small part of the many reasons why this universe of stories deserve to get an adaptation. And more than that, these stories need to be told sooner rather than later, as the Absolute Comics continue to redefine familiar characters for a new generation of comic book fans. Over the years, the character of Batman has evolved many times. From the 1960s, when the character was portrayed by Adam West in both film and TV, they leaned heavily into the goofy comic book style, to the Christopher Nolan's Dark Knight trilogy, which saw the character and Gotham shift to a considerably darker tone. Now, with the introduction of the Matt Reeves Batverse, Gotham has become an even more terrifying prospect, but the character of Batman remains largely the same between adaptations. He is a detective and a vigilante crime fighter,